Codename Kids Next Door is a classic cartoon that follows the adventures of the organization called KND, a group of children agents. This beloved cartoon has a total of 78 episodes across 6 seasons, and a movie which we are going to cover in today's video. So lay back and get ready to know these operatives' adventures from start to finish. They operate from numerous hidden bases worldwide, with their primary headquarters being the Kids Next Door moon base located on the moon. The organization is made up of thousands of highly trained operatives, who are all kids aged from birth to 13. Each member is assigned a number 1, number 2, etc. Teams usually consist of 5 members, as seen with the primary team in the show, numbers 1 through 5. With our main characters being Nigel Uno, Hoagie, Kooky Sandband, Wallaby Beetles, and Abby Kids Next Door operatives use what's known as 2x4 inches technology, a term for various weapons, gadgets, and vehicles that are built from typical household items, effectively turning the mundane into the extraordinary. As per KND rules, when operatives turn 13, they are decommissioned, a process that erases all memories of their time in the organization. This is because they are no longer considered kids and are seen to be on the cusp of becoming teenagers, a group that often sides with adults and is therefore untrustworthy from the KND's point of view. However, some operatives have been known to escape decommissioning or even work for the KND as a teenager or adult, although these instances are very rare. The organization's origins are shrouded in mystery, but one key figure in its history is Numbu Zero, also known as Monty Uno, the father of Numbu One, Nigel Uno. Numbu Zero was a legendary operative who was renowned for his successful missions and acts of bravery, as revealed in the series Operation Zero movie. The entire operation stands as a symbol of the spirit of childhood, resistance, creativity, and resilience, embodying the struggle against the rules and restrictions imposed by adults. Numbu One, whose real name is Nigel Uno, is the main character. He serves as the leader of Sector 5, a group of 5 operatives within the larger Kids Next Door organization. Numbu One is a serious, driven, and strategic character. He is characterized by his signature sunglasses, red turtleneck, and lack of hair. He's bald, and he speaks with a notable British accent. Nigel is known for his excellent leadership skills and strong dedication to the Kids Next Door's cause. He's resourceful and strategic, often the mastermind behind the team's successful missions. As for his backstory, Nigel's commitment to the Kids Next Door cause runs in the family. His father, Monty Uno, was once the legendary operative Numbu Zero. Monty led a team of operatives who famously recovered the delightful children from the clutches of grandfather, a villainous figure who had turned adults into senior citizombies and children into his slaves. Nigel's father's past was revealed in the made-for-TV movie Codename Kids Next Door, Operation Zero. Although his work often puts him at odds with many adult and teen villains, Numbu One remains loyal and dedicated to the Kids Next Door and his team. He demonstrates throughout the series that he's willing to do whatever it takes to ensure the rights and freedoms of children everywhere. Number 2, whose real name is Hoagie P. Gilligan Jr., is a member of Sector 5. He is the team's pilot, engineer, and inventor. He is known for his creativity and technical skills, often being the one to design and build the unique 2x4 technology that the Kids Next Door use in their operations against adult tyranny. These 2x4 devices are typically built from ordinary household items, but serve extraordinary purposes. Hoagie has a cheerful and lighthearted personality. He is overweight, bespectacled, and often seen wearing a pilot's cap, jacket, and goggles. He loves a good pun and is regularly seen making jokes, even in the middle of missions, which are usually met with groans from his teammates. He also has an enormous appetite, especially for sweets. Despite his occasional goofiness and puns, Numbu 2 is a valuable member of his team. His technical expertise, coupled with his loyalty and love for adventure, make him an essential part of the Kids Next Door organization. Number 3, whose real name is Kooky Sanban, is the team's medical specialist and diversionary tactics expert. She's also known to pilot some of the Kids Next Door's craft when required. Often depicted as cheery, somewhat ditzy, and incredibly kind-hearted, Numbu 3 has a deep love for all things cute and fuzzy, which often serves as a contrast to the action-oriented nature of their missions. Kooky is of Japanese descent, and she is often seen wearing a green sweater and matching shoes. She has long, straight black hair and is frequently seen in a blissful or dreamy state. Despite her usually sunny and nonchalant demeanor, Numbu 3 has proven to be a formidable operative when the situation calls for it, particularly when things she cares about are in danger. Throughout the series, Numbu 3 is shown to be a vital member of her team. Her seemingly naive nature often conceals a cunning and determined side, and her love for all things cute and her unwavering optimism provides a bright counterpoint to the seriousness of many of their missions. She's a character that embodies the diversity and strength found in the Kids Next Door organization. Number 4, whose real name is Wallaby Beetles, is the team's hand-to-hand combat specialist and is often depicted as the bravest, if not the brightest member of Sector 5. He's impulsive and stubborn, known for rushing headfirst into dangerous situations without much of a plan. Despite this, his courage and fighting skills are invaluable assets to the team during their various missions. Wallaby is of Australian descent and has a noticeable Australian accent. He is short, with a distinctive bowl-cut hairstyle, and is usually seen wearing an orange hooded sweater and blue jeans. Despite his brash personality and lack of strategy, Numbu 4's bravery, determination, and loyalty make him a critical part of the Kids Next Door team. He embodies the spirit of courage and adventure that drives the Kids Next Door in their fight against adult tyranny. Number 5, whose real name is Abigail Lincoln, is the team's second-in-command, the team's spy, and an expert in stealth and reconnaissance. She's known for her intelligence, practicality, and cool-headedness, often serving as the voice of reason when the rest of the team gets carried away. Abigail is African-American, often seen wearing a white-striped blue shirt, cap, and red sneakers. She frequently refers to herself in the third person, a characteristic trait of her character. As for her backstory, Abigail comes from a family of accomplished individuals. Her father is a doctor, and her older sister Cree was once a KND operative, Numbu 11, but she eventually became a teenager and turned against the organization. Cree's transformation into a villain has led to some emotional conflict for Abigail, as she has had to confront her sister on several occasions. Despite these challenges, Number 5 remains committed to the Kids Next Door and its mission to fight adult tyranny. Her strategic mind, cool demeanor, and stealth skills make her an invaluable asset to her team. Abigail's character highlights the themes of loyalty and dedication that permeate the series, demonstrating the challenges and rewards of standing up for what one believes in, even when it involves personal sacrifice. In the beginning, there were children, and for a long time it was great. The children played on the beaches, explored the forests, and relaxed in the fields. The world was their enormous playground. The children built their headquarters and lived without norms or rules. However, after a while they began to get bored. Their perfect society became lazy, so the children decided to create adults in their image. Only they were sillier, stranger, and larger, capable of reaching high shelves. The children dressed the adults in ridiculous clothes to mock them and give them names. The loyal and eager adults worked tirelessly to please the children by making their food, cleaning up their mess, and growing even bigger for them to play with. The children showed no compassion for the adults. They were already exhausted and had no leisure time. The children demanded that the adults build the biggest headquarters of all, the super sensational headquarters. In addition to cooking, mowing the lawn, and playing horsey, they had to build something that seemed impossible and endless. Thus, the first rebel among the adults was born, Mr. Wigglestein, which we'll get to know as the father. After a long day of work, he refused to play horsey with his child, and the child, who was dissatisfied, threw water at him and started laughing uncontrollably. This pushed him over the edge, and he resorted to the famous method of adult discipline, spanking. As a result, all the adults were expelled from the children's land and forced to relocate to a new home called Cleveland. The city quickly prospered, and they created something that the children would love: toys. However, the children didn't have money to buy them, which sparked a rebellion that turned into a great war against robot palm slappers. The adults were now much more powerful. They invaded and brought down every headquarters until they reached the super sensational headquarters, putting an end to the children who had to flee directly to the moon. It was nice there, but they missed their nature, the forests, and the beaches. The adults also missed having children do work for them. The adult ambassadors went to the moon and established a treaty of peace and harmony. The children were willing to return to Earth and live in small groups with the adults, known as families. For a while, the children and adults lived as equals. and everything was wonderful until the adults betrayed the children. They erased their memories and made them forget that it was the children who created the adults, not the other way around. They took them to prisons known as schools. At some point in history, the children organized themselves to combat the tyranny of the adults, starting tactical training that evolved into an organization known as KND, Kids Next Door. Every child could become a member by passing a test. However, when a member turned 13 years old, they were considered teenagers and could no longer be part of the organization. Their memories of that time were completely erased using the memory eraser camera, which literally sucked their memories from their faces. They invented the 2x4 technology, which involved using everyday objects to create weapons, machines, and constructions. They also wrote a book containing their greatest secrets, such as mission information, battle plans, and weapon invention schemes. But their true power lies in their ability to inspire other children with the ideals of KND. This book gave hope and strength for children to rebel against oppression. Embracing the principles of being part of the Kids Next Door, the book shared the origins of the neighborhood gang. Then several eras of the Kids Next Door passed about, and we don't know much of the story until we reach the 19th century with the 6th era, which is quite bizarre because during that time, girls were not allowed in the Kids Next Door. But at the same time, the villains were women. The greatest villain, known as Mother, lived with the annoying and beautiful triplets on the hill and made the most delicious birthday cake in the world that they never shared. Sector 5 fought against the tyranny of adults who wouldn't give them a moment's peace. There was even an organization of villains with the specific goal of ending Sector 5. The leader of this organization was Father, who was also the most powerful enemy among them. One recurring mission of Sector 5 was to steal the birthday cake of the kids from Lower Street, as they refused to share their delicious cake with other children. Thus, in every season, there was an episode featuring Operation Cake to ensure that all children received a slice of that wonderful cake. Finally, after years of searching, the Kids Next Door was close to obtaining the recipe for this cake. However, Mother already knew their plan and set up a fatal trap. The Kids Next Door organized a battle on the hill known as Operation Dogfight. When the 19th century operatives finally got their hands on the supposed recipe, the trap was triggered, and 5,000 agents of the Kids Next Door were frozen in the ice cream explosion. They would remain frozen for 10 long years. When they returned, technically, they could no longer be part of the Kids Next Door, so they were all discharged and had their memories erased, except for number 19th century, who remained missing since then. Sometime later, probably due to the weakening of the Kids Next Door after losing 15,000 operatives, the world was completely dominated by the tyranny of a grown-up villain who would later be known as Grandfather. The 6th era of the Kids Next Door had completely succumbed, and all its technology and knowledge were forgotten. The world turned into a massive prison where all children were enslaved and worked tirelessly in the tapioca factory. That is, until one of Grandfather's sons rebelled against him. One day, Monte Uno decided to escape from the factory after working for 11,000 consecutive days. Determined to find a way to end his father's tyranny, he was accompanied by his brother, Benedict Uno, who wanted nothing to do with it and was afraid of their father. Monte climbed a tree, and there, his wish was granted when he accidentally opened a secret door to a base inside the tree that contained the 2x4 technology and the Grand Book of the Kids Next Door. Thus, he became known as Number Zero and used all that knowledge and technology to defeat his father once and for all, freeing all those children from slavery and starting the 7th era of the Kids Next Door. He then founded and led Sector 5 along with his companions. He also fell in love with a girl who became the first girl in history to be part of the Kids Next Door, known as number 999. Monty also invented the recommissioning module, which could recover someone's memories even after going through the decommissioning chamber. It worked with the DNA of a member, just like the positive projection module designed by number 227.2, used to collect the DNA of all KND on the day of their graduation when they joined the organization. As for Benedict Uno, he took a different path for some reason. He developed a hatred for the organization led by his brother, which would eventually lead him to the same evil nature as their father. All the new members would eventually grow up and leave the Kids Next Door. Over time, Number Zero's great deeds would be told as legends, and it is not even known if they truly existed. Monty, with no memories of his childhood as a Kids Next Door operative, married Mrs. Uno, the former number 999, and they had a son named Nigel. The house was built next to the tree where he found the Book of KND, the same tree that would later become the headquarters of the neighborhood gang. Many other members of his generation, unfortunately, turned into adult villains who, without remembering anything, wanted to destroy the neighborhood gang, the organization that practically all of them were part of as children. At that time, Benedict Uno would perfect the transformation chamber, a device designed to turn any child into a completely obedient and well-behaved child. This machine was probably created in the 19th century by his mother to create the triplets and experiment with them. Benedict Uno would use the services of a team of teenage ninjas with multifunctional armor technology with the main goal of completely destroying the neighborhood gang. In 1999, a major battle known as the Great Middle School Rebellion of 1999 took place, which would be remembered. During this battle, the readmission device created by Zero was damaged and became irreparable. It was then archived and displayed in the impressive Museum of Neighborhood Gang Artifacts. Soon after, all the former agents of the 7th era grew up and stopped being Carn D, giving way to the 8th era of the neighborhood gang. The supreme leader of this era was the incredible Number Zero. Within their headquarters, Sector 5 initially housed a team formed by Number 9, Maurice, the twins Number 8, A and B, and their leader Number 11, who were Abby's older sister and Nigel's future sister-in-law. Two of them fell in love with Maurice, who was truly amazing. Later, Abigail joined the team alongside her sister, and on their second mission, the ninjas defeated Number 8A and B, passing chickenpox onto them, which actually turned out to be super bizarre chicken-like creatures that are born on the skin of the infected person. From that day on, Maurice's main goal as an agent was to find the source of the teens' chickenpox and destroy it once and for all. He spent 3 years investigating the case alone. Later, inspired by Number 5, Number 1 started his training at the Arctic headquarters to become an agent. His main motivation was likely the incident he had with the kids from Lower Street, which somehow made him permanently bald. He used to have cool brown hair but promised to prevent harm to other kids from the hands of the neighborhood gang. During his training, Number 1 showed great talent and was noticed by Number 274, known as the greatest agent of his time. He rose through the ranks and eventually became the supreme leader after Number Zero's departure. He had a great future ahead and became Number 1's mentor during his training in the Arctic. By that time, he had already turned 13 and joined the faction of teenage ninjas. The formation of the Sector 5 of the neighborhood gang had changed, and they became an even more incredible team. The teenage ninjas, led by Chad Dixon known as Numbu 274, became a great enemy of the neighborhood gang after Numbu 274's betrayal. They used all possible means, including technology, hiring adults, and their legion of teenage ninjas, to ruin the neighborhood gang. Among them, the most powerful and troublesome for the neighborhood gang was Cree Lincoln, the older sister of Number 5. After Number 274's departure, Number 362 became the new supreme leader, and she was best friends with Number 86, the head of the teenagers' containment and disposal sector. She was rude, grumpy, bossy, and stubborn, and she especially disliked boys. However, she remained extremely loyal to the neighborhood gang. After the incident with Numbu 274, Number 1 encouraged Tommy, Number 2's younger brother, to undergo training at the Arctic headquarters to also become an agent. There, he joined Sonia and Lee and began his training as a cadet. They managed to stop the father's plan, who was trying to steal the code module from the neighborhood gang, which coincidentally was now at the Arctic headquarters. All of this, only for the Number 12 to steal them shortly afterward without much effort. But she was almost turning 13 years old, so she decided to betray the gang. After all, she would soon be among the teenage ninjas. So why not start working for them, delivering a module to complete and fleeing with them? Then the father attacks the gang, turning them all into animals. But there they were. Tome and the gang managed to save everyone once again. Unfortunately, to do that, he had to remove his DNA from the module. It had a security system that would never allow them to become operatives of the neighborhood gang again. But he doesn't get discouraged. He decides to become Tony, the Lone Avenger. At this moment, 3 years had passed since Maurice began his quest to destroy the source of the teenager named Chickenpox. Unfortunately, he would turn 13 and would have to leave the neighborhood gang along with his mission. Everyone was very sad, including number 86, who is a heart of stone. Everyone really loved him. But what no one knew was that he wouldn't be dismissed and would be one of the few agents in history to continue being a MEET even after turning 13. He was now an undercover agent who would join the teen ninjas and gain their trust to finish his mission gloriously. The only one who would know that he is the undercover agent is number 5, who would admire him even more. And so, a mysterious mission begins, where the number infinity and number 74.239 and 1, 2, 3, and 9 follows Nico's every move. This happens throughout the 6th season. They had chosen him for an unknown position, even unknown to the neighborhood gang, something super secret. And that's where Operation Zero, the mission, the replica of the neighborhood gang, begins in the special 1-hour episode against the evilest plan of the father so far. He plans a simultaneous attack with basically all the classic adult villains from the series. One center is at the super cool Museum of Neighborhood Gang Artifacts, and the other is at the lunar base. The one who is already going to the museum refuses the order of the Supreme Leader to attend the lunar base, which later makes number 362 very angry with him and deprives him of the position of Global Tactical Officer that was reserved for him, giving it instead to number 86. All of this served as a distraction for the father to steal the readmission device from the museum without anyone noticing. And then, trying to correct his mistake, number 1 goes after him, which was actually part of his plan. He needed the DNA of an active member of the gang to use the device. So using number 1's booger, he manages to activate it and use it on his own father, now known as the Grandfather, bringing back the evilest being in the world who once ruled the entire Earth and was ready to do it again. However, the Grandfather turns his back on the father and wants nothing to do with him. Immediately, with his evil powers, he starts turning all the children, adults, and old people into zombies who would work for him again, making tapioca. Gradually, the whole gang ends up being transformed into zombies, leaving only number 1 and useless, the DNA trainer created by number 101, to locate the forgotten great hero, someone whom only he really existed, the legendary number 0. But to his surprise, he discovers that number 0 was actually himself, his own self. Then he uses the readmission device to bring back all the memories of one of the greatest heroes of the neighborhood gang of all time and shows it to number 1. He gives the book to number 1 and tells him that they will write incredible stories together in it. On that day, he also discovers that his father, the greatest villain he has been fighting for years, is actually his own uncle. He also learns that the kids from the street below are the missing agents from Sector Z. They end up joining forces to defeat the Grandfather, who is actually Nico's own grandfather. In the end, number 0, his father, sacrifices all his memories once again to put an end to the Grandfather's plans and save everyone. But before that, he arranges for the readmission device to be destroyed so he can never go back to his memories again. He leaves a message for number 1, saying that from now on, his greatest mission will be to be a good father to him, which is very sweet, leaving his legacy as an inspiration for the whole neighborhood gang. Now we enter what would be the future of it, a future that never happened. We discover along with number 1 that number 274 was actually a disguised teenager, just like Maurice, who had done all those bad things just to gain the adults' trust while providing important information to the kids. They also reveal to number 1 that there are others who are superior to the Supreme Leader. Then, number Infinite interrupts and says that number 1 will discover his purpose in due time. They use an unknown technology with the booger and disappear completely. Since then, they are never seen again until number Infinite, along with number 74 and 1239, appear and say that it is time to finally take number 1. Since then, the creators have worked on an idea for a continuation of the show called Neighborhood Gang Galactic, or simply GKN, an organization that encompasses a galactic-level fight against adult tyranny. In this future, planet Earth is completely dominated by adults who make up more than 3/4 of the population. Number 1, now on the other side and with his goggles flipped, is about to carry out a mission to completely destroy the Earth in the name of GKN. Numbu 274 is seen chained, pleading for him not to do it. After being interrupted by numerous alien transmissions, including number 74,239, and Lizzie, who was number one's girlfriend on Earth, it is revealed that they are actually disguised aliens. Number one seemingly triggers the mission, and the episode ends with number five's voice asking what number one has done. This animatic was an idea for a new series or even a special called Stop Neighborhood Gang Galactic, but Cartoon Network never gave the green light to these ideas. However, with the amazing Max producing specials for Cartoon Network shows, I wouldn't be surprised if they finally bring this idea to life in a special or mini-series, just like they did with Distant Lands. It would be simply epic. Well, folks, that was the complete story of the codename Kids Next Door. Don't forget to leave a comment with the next story you want to see on the channel, and make sure to check out the other stories I will be doing here. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel.